Welcome to the future, where the glass is half full and you'll need new glasses, where you'll be jumping from conclusions.
The past is annulled, and a new future is born.
Never before in history has so much meant so little to so many. AD on the radio.
So Conyers is done. That's it for him. He is resigning amid a whole bunch of sexual harassment allegations, dropping like flies. This is essentially our horrifying sex monster roundup with a focus on the political, because it's just absolutely freaking nuts at the moment. Representative John Conyers of Michigan, Democrat, he sent a letter to House Speaker Paul Ryan and Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi, said he was out. He went on a Detroit radio show this morning, said, "I'm retiring today." He is effectively resigning. But get this, he wants his son, John Conyers III, to succeed him in Congress. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. We kind of famously did away with the idea of royalty back in 1776. He said, "My legacy will continue through my children." Yeah, lots of luck. So he is out. Roy Moore, on the other hand, last time I checked, Roy Moore is doing just dandy. Kind of similar to Donald Trump did after the grab him by the you-know-what hot mic thing came out with Billy Bush. Do you remember that? Everybody thought he was over and done with. You saw that Saturday Night Live episode where the week that tape came out, what was it, Funkhouser? Was it Access Hollywood? Is that what Billy Bush was on with Donald Trump?
Yeah.
Yeah. The moment the Access Hollywood hot mic Billy Bush tape came out of our leader of the free world and president of these United States of America saying fame granted you the ability to grab women by the unmentionable south of the equator, the moment that thing came out, everybody thought he was over and done with, dead in the water. That episode of Saturday Night Live, I'll never forget it because it, well, worked out to be so unbelievably ironic. But basically they had Kate McKinnon playing Hillary Clinton dancing around to the song Celebration, just because it seemed like it was in the bag for her. But what happened after that? The unthinkable. Donald Trump surged in the polls. And I think that's what Roy Moore is doing as well. Mitch McConnell kind of flip-flopped. He was telling Roy Moore that he should step aside, bow out, not be a part of our governmental process anymore. And now he's saying, well, I'll just leave it up to the voters. Here's the thing, though. We got the closest thing that I think we're going to get to a smoking gun before the special election. Now, I don't know how close you've been paying attention to Roy Moore, but the idea is that he dated / molested / maybe raped underage girls when he was in his mid-30s, about 40 years ago. Now, there's this woman, Debbie Wesson Gibson. This past week just gone by, she was getting ready for Christmas. What do you do when you're getting ready for Christmas? Well, you pull out the old decorations. So she goes up into her attic. She's taking out boxes of Christmas decorations, and she notices this old storage box, starts going through it, finds a scrapbook from her senior high school year. And in it is a graduation card from Roy Moore. Happy graduation, Debbie. I wanted to give you this card myself. I know you'll be a success in anything you do, Roy. Written by Roy Moore, Alabama Republican nominee for U.S. Senate, who has over and over again denied the accounts of, what are we up to now? Five women who said that he pursued them when they were teenagers and did, well, various things to various accusers. One woman called Lee Korfman said when she was 14, Moore touched her sexually. Now, here's the thing. Gibson, the woman who found the graduation letter in her Christmas decorations just a couple days ago, she dated Moore, or she said that she dated Moore publicly. When she was 17, he was 34 years old, and she said that she wore it like a badge of honor. Now, ever since the allegations came out, she started rethinking that badge of honor. And Moore went on the radio. Roy Moore went on the radio with Sean Hannity a little while back. like right after the allegations came out, said that he didn't know Korfman, but he remembered Gibson, as well as Gloria Thacker, who said that she dated him when she was 18, which, as I can tell, isn't any kind of crime. He called each one, quote unquote, a good girl, but he said he didn't remember dating them. Here's the thing, though. His story changed significantly. On November 27th, at a campaign event in the North Alabama town of Hennigar, Moore said, the allegations are completely false. They are malicious. Specifically, I do not know any of these women.
Real radio.
104.1.
Where the left and right come together for fundamental truths. AD on the radio, on Twitter at ADSXE.
So this is where it gets really sticky for Roy Moore. This woman, and like I said, this is the closest we have to a smoking gun at this point in the proceedings, but this woman, Debbie Wesson Gibson, was decorating for Christmas a couple weeks ago, according to an article by the Washington Post. And when going through old Christmas decorations, she found a discarded storage bin, something she hadn't been through for a very long time. And in it, she found, I think, a high school yearbook and a graduation card, which read, "Happy graduation, Debbie. I wanted to give you this card myself. I know that you'll be a success in anything you do. Roy." From Roy Moore. Now, why is this a smoking gun? It's not exactly damning. A congratulatory graduation card from someone is hardly an admission of guilt when it comes to the horrible sexual molestation accusations that have been leveled against Moore. There's one woman who said when she was 14, Moore touched her sexually. Now, Gibson, the woman who discovered the graduation card, said she dated Moore when she was 17. Publicly, she said she wore the relationship like a badge of honor. And after the allegations first surfaced, Roy Moore did an interview with Sean Hannity, and he said that he remembered Gibson as well as this other accuser, Gloria Thacker. And he said that that they dated when she was 18. Said they were good girls. Ah, crap, I got that wrong. Fuck, shit, cocksucker. Pick it up with... A little after the allegations first came out, Roy Moore did an interview with Sean Hannity. He said that each one of these women who were accusing him, well, he said he didn't know this one woman, Korfman, but he remembered Gibson, the woman that found the graduation note, as well as this woman, Gloria Thacker Deason, who said that she dated Moore when she was 18 years old. He said each one of them was a good girl, but he didn't remember dating them. And this is where it gets sticky for Roy Moore. November 27th, campaign event, North Alabama Town Hall of Hennigar. He said, the allegations are completely false. They are malicious. Specifically, I do not know any of these women. But what'd you say on Hannity in front of the entire nation the other day? Oh, okay, well, never mind. Let's move on. Oh, November 29th, rally at a church in the South Alabama town of Theodore. He said, let me state once again, I do not know any of these women. I did not date any of these women and have not engaged in any sexual misconduct with anyone. Well, I do not know is different from I gave you a graduation card when you graduated. And therein you have the smoking gun. Gibson said she not only openly dated Moore when she was 17, but later joined him, helping him out with his campaign, passing out flyers and whatnot. In 1982, when he was running for circuit court judge, she said that they exchanged Christmas cards over the years as well. And she said he called me a liar. He made an egregious mistake to attack one thing, my integrity. So there you go. That's it. That's your smoking gun. That's as close as you're probably going to get to a smoking gun before the special election rolls around. And here's the thing. Will it be enough of a smoking gun? Do people even care? Donald Trump said what he said on the Access Hollywood hot mic tape with Billy Bush. and apologize for it. Everybody thought that was curtains for him and his ambitions of being president. And as we know, turned out to be very, very different. You know who's hopping mad thanks to all this, Funkhouser? Billy Bush. Donald Trump said the things that he said on that tape, went on to become president of these United States of America, the most powerful man on the face of the planet. Billy Bush just kind of laughed and went, oh, Donald, and lost everything. Got fired from his gig. He, I think by way of an apology, donated $10 million to a women's advocacy group. So he lost his job and spent $10 million trying to save face, and it didn't work. Now, recent reports claim that President Trump is telling people it's not actually his voice on the Access Hollywood tape with Billy Bush. In other words, Donald Trump is claiming that he never bragged about being able to just walk up to women and kiss them and grab them by the genitals. Billy Bush, like I said, is hopping mad, and he would like for you to know that the president is absolutely full of it. He wrote an essay for the New York Times. He said, quote, "Of course he said it, and we laughed along without a single doubt that this was hypothetical hot air from America's highest rated bloviator." Ooh, good word. Bloviator. I got to start working that into more conversations. Makes you sound intelligent. And I never really thought of Billy Bush as an intelligent guy. I guess he's been perusing his thesaurus. Anyways, he said, along with Donald Trump and me, there were 7 other guys present on the bus at that time. Boy, he's been sitting on that one for a while. I was on the bus. Donald Trump was on the bus. But there's 7 other guys, and you don't know about them. They didn't get fired, and they didn't have to give away $10 million. He said every single one of us assumed we were listening to a crass stand-up act. He was performing. Surely, we thought, none of this could be real. But Billy Bush has gone on the record saying he doesn't think it's just a performance anymore, especially after hearing the stories of some 20 women who have accused Trump of doing pretty much those exact things to them. He went on to say that he respects and admires all the women who came forward, saying, quote, "Today is about reckoning and reawakening, and I hope it reaches all the guys on the bus." He was on Colbert the other night. Did you see that?
Yeah, I have the audio. You want to hear it?
Oh, yeah. I didn't get a chance to catch it. Please.
Well,
we'll do that next.
Don't get the blues, get all the news. We mean all of you guys out there in Radio Land. All aboard!
He's back. AD on the radio.
Give it up, yeah. Give it up, yeah. Bring this on, come on, come on.
So you got that audio, Funkhouser? You got the Billy Bush audio from when he was on Colbert? I missed it.
Look, he, last week, for some reason, came out with, "That's not my voice," on the tape. Like I said, you can't say that. That is your voice. I was there. You were there. That's your voice on the tape. And what that does, though, is multiple. I told you about my own personal problem with it. But then you've got 20 women at the time. I don't know what the exact number is because there's more, but 20 women who used their names. We've got powerful people being held accountable now, and sometimes there's anonymous sources. All of these women came out with their names and told their detailed accounts. So when he said this, it infuriated me on the personal front, and then I ended up Googling and I read an article with all of these women's accounts, because when that article first came out, it was 13 days after I'd been fired, so I was in my own personal shock, fight or flight. And so I never really read it all the way. And as I read these, I said, 20 women don't get together and say, "Hey, you know, it'll be really fun. Let's take down a powerful guy together. Ha ha." No, they don't. And their names are, and I said, okay, you're reopening wounds on them too. Enough's enough. Stop playing around with the
Yeah, it's powerful stuff. It's powerful stuff. I think, especially Billy Bush, who's all of a sudden going like, oh my gosh, I might be back, baby. I might be back. I mean, here's the thing. He was summarily executed in the court of public opinion for laughing along to what he called Donald Trump's crass stand-up routine. And I could see why he has an axe to grind. He lost everything. Donald Trump, the guy who said the words on that tape, lost nothing, went on to gain everything. It's a weird situation for Billy Bush to be in. It really is. Because, look, I'm not saying being complicit is something that you get to skate on. I'm not surprised Billy Bush's career was over and done with. But there has to be a certain amount of, well, it's like we were talking about yesterday, the book Animal Farm. The book Animal Farm, in case you missed yesterday's show, is an allegorical tale told by George Orwell based on the Russian Revolution. There's this farm. It's poorly run. It's badly maintained. The animals take over. They kick out the farmer, who is essentially Tsar Nicholas II. And the animals, specifically the pigs, are based on Lenin, Trotsky, Stalin. They take over the farm under the premise that all animals are equal. That's the idea. All animals are equal. And then it becomes abundantly clear that the pigs, and I'm not going to ruin the book. Please read the book if you haven't read it. It's such a great read. You might know absolutely nothing about the Russian Revolution, and it's freaking riveting. Or you might know all about the Russian Revolution, and it's even more interesting. But it's an incredible insight into human nature. But this idea, all animals are created equal. They establish a new regime, the animals, and they say we're all going to be equal. And then all of a sudden, things aren't equal. Little by little, the pigs take more and more power. The pigs have other animals executed. The pigs have tasters for their food to make sure it's not poison. The pigs, at one point, I can't tell you the grand finale of the change that the pigs undergo, because I don't want to spoil it for you, but the motto by which they took power back was all animals are equal. And by the end of the book, all animals are equal, but some are more equal than others. And that's exactly what Billy Bush is talking about. That's what so many of us are talking about. That's what we've all been talking about with our political process for years. It goes back to Obama wanting to get with some new gun laws. And people quite rightly going, I'm not allowed to have a gun to protect my children, but you've got armed guards on yours. That's not fair. And the same goes for what's happening now with folks like Billy Bush and folks like Donald Trump. Billy Bush, like I said, executed by the court of public opinion. Career over. $10 million out of his bank account trying to save face doesn't help. Meanwhile, Donald Trump goes on to be leader of the free world. Like I said, we are living in a day and age where it's never been more patently obvious that all animals are equal, but some are more equal than others. So Billy Bush is seizing this moment where he might go from zero to somewhat of a hero, and we'll wait and see how it all plays out. But I just don't think any of it matters anymore. I don't think any of it matters anymore. People are so determined to believe that this one person or this one ideology or this one side of a conversation or this one side of an argument is the only way to go. People are so dedicated and desperate to believe in something. Maybe they've lost faith in their creator. Maybe they've lost faith in God, but they want to put faith in something, so they put it in a person. A frail person with faults like all the rest of us. And in some cases, a person who has things that go way beyond normal faults. Who has egregious elements to their character, criminal elements to their character. And people are still so desperate to believe that this one leader, this one political leader is their savior, is their messiah, is the person that's going to solve all their problems for them. And it's such a dangerous way of thinking because it's allowing people to get a pass. It's allowing folks like Roy Moore to go unquestioned into the special election. And look, there is no real evidence that he molested a 14-year-old girl, but there's now evidence that he's lying, and it doesn't seem to slow him down at all. People are so desperate to believe. People need a savior. And it leads us down a very dark path. It doesn't matter which side of the political argument you are on, whether you really, really wanted to believe in Conyers. No. He was part of the Black Caucus. He was a founding member of the Black Caucus. He's done so much for all of us. This couldn't possibly be true. Oh, it is. What do you do in those situations? You look to yourself over and over again. Been doing this show, 4 years now? 5 years now? And when we come to these incredibly dark moments in American history, where our character, our moral fiber, who we are as a people is tested, the path we walk down gets that much more dangerous because we're not willing to look to ourselves. We don't need a savior. We need to realize that it's within ourselves to save ourselves. All right, Funkhouser, let's do a little bit of news, shall we?
Whoa, man, whoa. Deep words there.
I suppose. It's just, and I mean, we talk about this all the time on the show, Funkhouser, where you go, yeah, I know, it's my own responsibility, personal responsibility. I got to look after it. No one else is going to look after it. You've said this before, and I have said it before. And it's not like I keep trotting it out, but it always seems to be the answer to all the questions that we have about where we're going, who we are, what's going on in the world. You want to look to the media. You want to look to our leaders. You want to look to an elected official. You want to look to all these people to give you an answer. And the hardest answer, the closest to the truth that you can get, is that answer lies within yourself. It's about handling your own business. And the moment you start making a leader some sort of messiah, and it happens all the time on both sides of the political equation, you're walking down a very dangerous path, and one that, well, I would urge you to stray from. Lickety freaking split. All right, news.
Okay, Jay-Z turned 48 yesterday.
Yeah. If you wanted to get him a gift, you couldn't go wrong with a hyphen. He loses his from time to time.
You know who does a great impersonation of Jay-Z is Jay Pharoah.
Oh, yeah.
He was
true.
on SNL.
Yeah, sure. Weren't you hanging out with Jay Pharoah yesterday?
Sort of.
Isn't that why you weren't on the show? Because you were hanging out with hold on, let me just pick that name up that you dropped. Why were you hanging out with Jay Pharoah yesterday?
Oh, man, I was just going to leave it there. I didn't expect you to pick that up there. I just walk on by.
He does the greatest impersonations.
Save that one for later. And Eddie Murphy does a good Eddie Murphy, too.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're not going to tell us why you're working with Jay Pharoah?
I can't really yet.
Okay.
But
right.
At some point. But have you seen his show White Famous? You should watch it. It's pretty good.
I'll give it a go.
Give it a go. Billy Bush confirmed that it is Donald Trump's voice in that Access Hollywood tape.
Yeah. Which, nothing for nothing. It was just a little weird since all you asked him for was a Big Mac and small fries. Billy Bush is going for it. This is his moment. And you know what?
Do you think he'll climb back up? Do you think it'll work for him? Do you think he'll get a gig out of it?
The court of public opinion is looking more favorably upon young William Bush at the moment. And
he could survive.
He could survive, and he could go on to do something perhaps a scotch more meaningful than Access Hollywood. Look, I mean, like...
Hey, there's an NBC morning show open, I hear. He could swoop that up.
Oh, yeah. And you know what?
I think he was up for that before.
It's not like the standard of ethics in that gig were especially high, at least the ones set by his potential predecessor. Like I say, ever since this happened, It'd be a small matter to raise the bar instead of lowering it. So yeah, Billy Bush could consider. Interesting. Billy Bush could be the hero of the situation and be the replacement for Matt Lauer. Huh.
Well, he was before.
He would literally be the lesser
guy.
of two evils. If he's willing to roast Donald Trump over this, I think he might get that gig. I don't know.
We'll see.
I don't know. That's a stretch, but I mean, all eyes are on him. So that's what people do in entertainment. They determine what it is people would be interested to watch or listen to. Doesn't necessarily have to do with talent. Doesn't necessarily have to do with the right fit. It has to do with what would people want to see. Like Billy Bush getting Matt Lauer's gig. I'd watch that.
Yeah, and I wonder how, at what cost it would cost Comcast to get Billy Bush. Would it be like a discount?
Oh, I would imagine
like,
that Billy
look,
Bush
all we
would,
have in our pockets are like, $15. We
I have $2 off coupons for Big Macs here. That should lock you up for the next 5 years with another 2-year option. After which you get a small fry. Yeah, no, Billy Bush would work for literally anything at the moment. Go on.
Meghan Markle reportedly stuffed her bra while working as a model on Deal or No Deal.
And now she's marrying an English prince. So for the 10 millionth time in history, it's big boobs for the win.
She's that one?
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, controversy.
Yeah. A prince is marrying a Deal or No Deal model.
If you were the prince and you can marry anyone in the world, who would you go for?
Well, if I'm Prince Harry, I'd probably marry Meghan Markle. Because, like, literally could have any woman on the face of the planet. I'm going to go out on a limb and guess. So I would imagine that whatever the hell he's got going on with her has got to be real.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, if I were the prince, bearing in mind that I could have whatever the hell I wanted, I would go for the realest thing I could get. But I don't know. It's got to be difficult because, like, it must be really hard to be a prince and know what the hell it is any kind of female is really thinking when they're going out on a date with you. Because, like, I could be with this guy and literally be a princess. I will do anything. Like, it's just all bets are off. You know what I mean? Like Funkhouser, if you had the ability to marry a princess and become royalty, you'd probably, represent yourself dishonestly.
No, of course not. How dare you?
Or a scepter.
How could you say that about me? I would put on my best comedic face and, what are you into, babe? All right, I'll be into that too.
Sometimes you just know you're done.
I wonder if you would blow it in the first 5 minutes by
Probably
calling
instantly.
her babe. Yeah.
Every day you're waiting to get washed away.
Real radio. Real radio. Real radio. Real radio. 104.1. Now, more AD on the radio.
Back once again, the ill behavior, delivering and giving you my musical savior. Back once again, it's your boy AD, and can't nobody rock a body better than me. Back once again.
So earlier, before we got on the air, Funkhouser was quizzing me. He was testing my Green Day trivia knowledge.
Oh, yeah. That'll appear on our podcast later.
Yes, I passed the test with flying colors, but you can hear Funkhouser taking me to task over Green Day trivia on the podcast a little later on. But here's the thing. I'm going to now, in return, test Funkhouser's Green Day trivia ability.
I'm not prepared for this.
I'm going to play you a Green Day. I wasn't prepared when you walked in and said, hey, let's play a Green Day game. What's this song? What album was it from? I got them all right.
Yeah, bowled a 300 on that.
No, because I didn't know the album that the Kinks cover was on.
Yeah, I think you won on a technicality because that was a compilation.
Oh, that wasn't a Green Day album? That was on a Kinks cover compilation?
No, that was a Green Day compilation. When they were too lazy to make a whole album, so they made like two songs after Insomniac.
Okay, gotcha. All right, yeah, that doesn't count as much. Okay. A little later on, I'm going to play you a Green Day song that resulted in a marriage. Which song? It was early on in Green Day's career when Billy Joe Armstrong came up with it, yet it shaped the rest of his life, and we're going to get into that later. Right now, they'll continue with the news, Funkhouser.
Pink, artist Pink, says she's raising gender-neutral children.
Yeah, I heard about that.
How do you do that?
Well, I think, all right, so, there's a lot of people that are like, oh, this is ridiculous. You're just going to confuse the kid if you don't raise her with a gender identity. But I think, well, she gave a heartfelt speech at the VMAs over the summer. She talked about how she had to comfort her 6-year-old daughter, Willow, after she said she was ugly because she looked like a boy with long hair. So what do you do? What do you do if your 6-year-old comes crying to you saying that they feel like they're ugly, saying that you look like a boy, but with long hair? Pink told her that people also used to make fun of her for being different. Now, Pink is taking a step further. In an interview with a British tabloid, she said she's raising her kids gender neutral. She said, quote, "We are a very label-less household. Last week, Willow told me she's going to marry an African woman. I was like, great. Can you teach me how to make African food? And she's like, sure, Mama. And we're all going to live with you while our house is getting ready." So what do you do in that situation? There's a lot of people that are going like, they're messing up the kid's heads. But here's the thing. If your daughter comes to you and says, I feel like I'm a boy, but with long hair and I'm crying because I'm ugly. And then if your daughter comes to you and says you're going to marry an African woman, do you say, no, you're not? No, you don't look like a boy. No. You let the kid know that how they're feeling at the age of 6 is okay, I think. To be clear, Pink isn't saying that she's ignoring genders or that her kids are choosing their own sex. She's just not creating boundaries or restricting them to gender stereotypes and norms. She's got an 11-month-old son called Jameson, and she said that if her daughter wants to marry an African woman, she's not going to correct her by saying that's not something that young girls do. And you know what? I'm with that. I remember when I found out what gay was, and I told my parents, what if I'm gay? They're like, what if you're gay? Who cares? It's fine. There's gay people in the world. It's not even something that you need to put any thought into now. And it made me feel better. I'm not gay, and I knew very early on that
What age were you when you went to your parents?
I think when I found out that gay was a thing. Like, I think they told me some men like other men instead of women, and I was like, okay, and I remember my father telling me, he was just like,
were you like 10?
No, younger than that, because I think my parents had gay friends, and I think I saw them together. I was like, what's up with that over there? And they explained to me what gay was. I think my father told me, I was probably a little young to have my father tell me this, but my dad told me, and I think this is a conversation we had over the years. He was like, gay people have, they've had to struggle just to be who they are. And that makes them interesting and strong people a lot of the time. I remember my father told me this. And so I was like, oh, when you're gay, you're interesting and strong. And I was like, I remember like right after I found out what gay was, I asked my mom, what if I'm gay? And she's like, that makes no difference. But I don't know. Maybe she caught me sneaking peeks at nudie magazines back in the day, but she was also pretty confident in telling me that she didn't think I was gay. I remember she didn't say you're not gay, but she was like, I don't think you're gay. So I think, I think I expressed an early interest in boobs, something that I've continued my entire life. But yeah, no, I do remember that conversation. It was an interesting one. Do you remember when your parents explained what being gay was to you, or did you learn that
I never
in school?
got any of those conversations. No, I had to
really.
I had to Google everything. Ask my friends. Hey friend, can I ask you some questions? What does it mean
I never got the birds and the bees conversation. I got this book when I was a kid before I even had questions about the birds and the bees, and maybe you grew up with it. It's a great book. I have to review it if I ever have children again before I decide to give it to them. But it was called The Body Book, and it explained everything, and reproduction was in there. It was a very, very, small portion of it, couple pages, but it explained the mechanics of it and, explained how it happened and explained sort of like conception and birth and all of the above, and also your digestive system.
You got a user's manual?
Yeah, it's called The Body Book. And I remember reading it when I was a kid, long before I ever had questions about the birds and the bees. And as such, my parents never had to have the difficult conversation with me. I just knew this stuff. So, I don't know. I think my parents got out in front of it it was like one teeny tiny piece of information that was given to me with all these different types of information. And there's stuff on there in puberty, like why your voice changes and your body changes when you're, 12 or 13 or whenever it is that happens to you. And this is why it might not happen to everybody at the same time. And down to the stuff that your toenails were made of and your hair is made of, and, what happens to food when you eat it. Like the reproductive part of it was this tiny little sliver of it, but it answered all my questions before I had it. And I always thought that was kind of a good way to get out in front of it. Before the conversation was had without my parents having to have it, thanks to this book. And that way, like I said, no awkward conversation. One more piece of news.
Today is Walt Disney's birthday.
He would have been 116 years old, or as you and I know it, 2.5 weights for Space Mountain.
Real radio. 104.1.
There's something happening here, and you should know what it is. The Dumbing Up of America. Now, more AD on the radio.
All right, so there's a Green Day song that Billy Joe Armstrong wrote early on in his career that resulted in a marriage. Which song is it? We'll get into that a little later on in the show. Right now, though, Funkhouser, let's take a look at
his accent, by the way.
Oh, Billy Joe Armstrong.
When he sings songs, he sounds very Western, probably.
No.
What is that?
He's doing a fake English accent.
Oh, is that what that is?
Yeah. Well, he does that, but also, do you have the time?
He drops
do you have the time? When he first came,
the time?
Yeah, when he first came to England, people why are you from California and singing in a fake English accent? There was.
So he puts that on then, huh? Wonder where he learned that from.
I'm sure if you have a conversation with him, he would say you are having a conversation, not having a conversation. His H's are intact. And it's funny because I think maybe English people are a little bit more attuned to people faking accents in music because,
could it be that he was a
of,
big fan of the Sex Pistols and stuff, or some like British bands?
Yeah, but, there's being a fan and then there's having a fake accent. And a lot of people gave him a really hard time for having a fake accent back in the day. And, English people wanted to be rock and roll folks. And rock and roll is a quintessentially American thing. So a lot of English people were given a hard time for putting on a big fake accent. There's a band, I think they're from Scotland or Ireland. They're called Texas. And, Yeah, it's very strange. There's an English or a British band called Texas. Could you look up some of their music, Funkhouser?
You want to rock it right now?
Just,
or
what songs do you have?
Oh, let's see.
What songs do you have? Let's do it now real quick.
All right. You keep talking about Texas while I look them up.
Well, here's the thing. They were a band from Great Britain. I think it might have been Ireland, maybe Scotland.
Oh, here they are.
And, yeah.
Say What You Want, Summer Sun, Inner Smile, Black Eyed Boy.
And here's the thing. They were very British, yet they sang in the most over-the-top American accent you've ever heard, and they got slayed in the British press for it. You're trying to be something you're not. Fake, phony, fake news, alternative facts. And so, lots of English bands got grief for trying to sound American. And so when Billy Joe Armstrong comes over to England with a fake English accent, he got flayed by the British press for it.
Is this Texas?
Never lived too long to make right.
This wasn't a hit.
It's the one with the most listens.
And when I get that feeling, I can no longer slide. I can no longer run.
So they're British and they sound American. Is that what you're saying?
They're from Glasgow.
Oh, yeah.
I can no longer hide.
No, okay, yeah. I Don't Want to Love Her was the song. Texas, I Don't Want to Love Her. Listen to this. Listen to this and tell me that this isn't a fake accent. And that they're not trying their hardest to sound American.
Oh, from the album South Side.
Mm-hmm. Texas.
Was this on the
From
Tremors
Scotland.
soundtrack?
Bluesy harmonica and slide guitar. A staple of the Glaswegian music scene.
I gotta put my boots on.
Yeah.
Right now, someone's going, Marsha, they're playing Texas. Listen, it's on the radio.
I don't want a lover. I just need a friend.
So yeah, bands like this would get a really hard time for sounding American when they were the furthest thing from it.
You can just leave me
Yeah.
to face life
So-
on my own.
It's
It's very early 90s country.
Yeah, I guess so. Anyways, not trying to give them a hard time, but the English people sure did. And so therefore, like any hint of a phony accent they were merciless in the British press. They were merciless in the British. Holy crap. They were merciless in the British press. You say it, Funkhouser. Is it just me?
Nope.
Merciless in the
I'm
British
not even
press.
going to try.
Okay, gotcha.
The British
Anyways,
press.
Yes, they were merciless in the British press when a band was perceived as being in any way, shape, or form phony or fake, and that included fake accents, which is why Billy Joe Armstrong got a hard time for singing, "Do you have the time?"
I never heard the British.
We know in conversation you pronounce your H's, you big phony.
I just thought that was how Berkeley talked.
No, it's not.
Hey, can you get me into the dorm?
Go on.
Report says Matt Lauer will retire and focus on his kids.
Oh, good for him. I mean, what else is he gonna do? What else? Like, I guess he can move to a different country. Do you think he's gonna move to a different country?
Nah, he'll just wait. He goes in an incubator for a few months and he comes back like Billy Bush. He'll be back.
Billy Bush laughed at Donald Trump's comments. Matt Lauer had a button that closed doors automatically and locked him in his office, where he would have sex with coworkers who felt like if he didn't get to have sex with them, they would lose their jobs. I don't know if he's going to be as much of a comeback kid as our friend William Bush.
I don't know.
But yeah, he's going to retire and focus on his kids. And if the kids become too much for him, he can always get a nanny referral from Ben Affleck. Go on.
Oh, burn. Wow. The New York Giants have fired coach Ben McAdoo after winning only 2 games. McAdoo? After winning only 2 games so far this season.
Yeah, McAdoo, really. To which Cleveland Browns fans were... To which Cleveland... I can't freaking talk today. I don't know what the hell it is. It's not the best quality for a professional broadcaster to have. Start that one over again, Funkhouser. What was the headline?
The New York Giants have fired coach Ben McAdoo after winning only 2 games so far this season.
McAdoo? More like Macadone. To which Cleveland Browns fans responded, why would they fire someone who had so many wins? Jeez. All right, go.
You got it, though. Good for you.
Yeah. Good for me.
It's like hitting a home run and then tripping when you hit second base, but you still have to keep running and everyone's laughing at you.
Yeah, that's what that's like.
So President Trump's former campaign manager says Trump's 4 main food groups are McDonald's, KFC, pizza, and Diet Coke.
Who says he can't relate to the average American? Yeah, it's that guy. One of the many people that used to work for Donald Trump, and then
there's a guy that has to track
working
that?
for Donald Trump. Well, I don't think he has to track it. I think he just noticed while he was out. It's that guy Corey Lewandowski. if you've been following President Trump over the past couple of years, it'll come as no surprise to know that he loves fast food. There's this book coming out. It's called Let Trump Be Trump, the inside story of his rise to the presidency. It's by his former campaign manager, Corey Lewandowski, and it's got all these details on his diet. The book says that a typical dinner for Trump when he was on the campaign trail was 2 Big Macs, 2 Filet-O fish, and a chocolate malt, which is it's around 2,600 calories, more than most adults should consume in an entire day. I don't know. I guess running for president is hungry work. The book said, quote, on Trump's Air Force One, there are 4 major food groups: McDonald's, Kentucky Fried Chicken, pizza, and Diet Coke. And they say his plane's cupboards were stocked with Vienna fingers, potato chips, pretzels, and many packages of Oreos because Trump's like this renowned germaphobe and he wouldn't eat anything from a previously open package. So if there's already an open package of Oreos, he's not going to be eating it. I don't know how a man of his age can eat that food and go do anything. Just because, I remember the moment I hit 30. I couldn't eat that crap and do anything other than want to lie down, take a nap, and think about how much I hated myself. I don't know how you eat Big Macs and Kentucky Fried Chicken and filet of fish and this sort of stuff and then go accomplish things with the rest of your day. First and foremost, whenever I eat that kind of food, especially McDonald's fries, which I love but are so greasy and salty, like, don't you feel like you need a shower after you eat those, Funkhouser? Like, it's that Jim Gaffigan line. Did I eat that or did I rub it all over my face? It just feels like your entire body is coated in the refuse from that food. So the idea of going out and accomplishing anything after eating a meal like that, that's dinner. You got to eat that stuff for dinner, go home, shower, and go to bed because you're not getting anything else done with the rest of your day. Or at least I'm not. Maybe Trump really is a superior physical specimen. I don't know. It's interesting.
The finalists for Times Person of the Year include Donald Trump and Colin Kaepernick.
Well, this is exactly what I was saying. People want to invest so much in these folks that are absolute cults of personality. There's any number of people that you could pick besides these two that wouldn't be so incredibly divisive, but people want to feel like they're taking a stand, that they're either right or left.
Didn't they say that Donald Trump being nominated was not true?
Well, Donald Trump said Time magazine offered it to him, but no thanks, but no thanks, or something like that. Yeah,
that wasn't true.
Yeah, Time said, well, we don't make this decision until much later in the year. That's not true. But it looks like he was in the running, so there's that. But yeah, no matter who wins, Donald Trump or Colin Kaepernick, no matter who wins, what a year for out of control hair. It's just freaking ridiculous. Go on.
Jared Kushner was seen jogging in New York City.
Yeah. The fact that he didn't stop until he was safely in Mexico makes me think this was less about fitness, more about the Russian investigation. Go on.
One more before that thing. The Metropolitan Museum of Art is defending a painting of a young girl posed provocatively in a short dress.
Or as Roy Moore calls it, the best painting ever. One more piece of news.
Sex before bedtime leads to better sleep.
Oh, well. In that case, thanks for so many peaceful nights of sleep, Hand. All right. So there's this Green Day song that resulted in a marriage. When he was first starting out, Billy Joe Armstrong of Green Day, on one of the first tours that Green Day did, when they first got out of their home state of California, they went and they played in, I think, the year 1990. And they played in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And it was there that Billy Joe Armstrong met this girl, Adrienne. And they started dating. They fell in love. They had a relationship. I don't know how old he was. He was really young. She was just 18. And she was like, what am I doing? I'm dating a guy in a punk rock band that lives out of state and is always on tour. This is absolutely ridiculous.
What's wrong with that? That's not...
Well, it's just not an easy thing to do. Maintain a long-distance relationship. This was before Skype. The only time Billy Joe Armstrong could probably call her was when she was by a phone and when he was by a phone, which wasn't in the van when they were on tour. And he had this touring schedule. And so she broke up with him. He was heartbroken. And he sat down and he wrote this song in which he talked about her devotion to her. And that when he does, in fact, get to see her, he's absolutely going to make it up to her. Anyways, fast forward 14 years or so. They got married in fast forward 4 years or so. They got married in July of 1994. They're still married to this day. And they have a whole bunch of kids, and they're very happy, and they've actually managed to make it work. I mean, they've been married for a very, very long time now. In a day and age where it's very hard to stay married, forget the fact that one of you is a rock star that is constantly on the road. And so it's interesting to reflect back on all of this and know that it all came from a song in which he assured her that when he does get to see her, when he comes around, he'll make it up to her. It's When I Come Around.
I heard you crying loud all the way across town. She makes attention from that someone that is beyond on the crowd. As you sit around feeling sorry for yourself. Well, don't get lonely now. And try your white eyes. I'm just living for the moment. Sneezing my back just as I can. So uptight you've been thinking about ditching me. No time to search the world around. 'Cause you know where I'll be found when I come around. I heard it all before. So don't knock at my door. I'm a loser and the user, so it's only no accuser to try and slag me down because I know you're right. So go do what you like. Make sure you do it right. You may find out that yourself that means nothing worth everything. You can't go forcing something if it's just not right. No time to search the world around. 'Cause you know where I'll be found when I come around. No time to search the world around. 'Cause you know where I'll be found when I come around.